All right, let's start the test review question number 1, which is complete the following frequency tables. So complete the following frequency tables. Let's hang on a second, I'll get this set up. All right, so we take a look at our frequency table. The easiest way to fill these out is to find a column or a row where you are missing only one box. And in this box right here, we would go ahead and take 179. And from that number, subtract 62 and 34, and that's going to give us 83. And now you can see that the Ontario row has all of its boxes filled out except for the total. So I'm going to add 83 plus 94 plus 65, and that will give me 242. Looks like I can already fill this box in as well. 208 for Upland total. Minus 62 minus 55 is 91. And I can find this one as well. 137 for the total of Montclair. Subtract 34 from that, subtract 43 from that, and you'll end up getting 60. And now you can just total these columns up. Add these three numbers together, you get 192. Add these three together, you get 216. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 208, 242, and 137. I'm going to get 587. And then class, it's a good idea on the test to go ahead now and add the column totals together and see if you also get 587. If you get the same total for your the row totals and then the same total for your column totals, then you're pretty confident you have written in the correct numbers. Take a look at the second one. This is, sorry, I didn't even mention the table. The table had to do with who is your cell service provider for 3 different cities. So it must have been a survey of people's mobile phone cell services. All right, this one has favorite class and grade. So depending on what grade you're in, what is your favorite of these 3 classes? Again, let's go ahead and just start picking away at these. We can find this one no problem. 67 minus 22 minus 16 is going to be 29. I can add these up. Math, 15 plus 19 plus 32 is 66. I can find the total favorite English class for 6th graders by taking 91, subtract 22, and subtract 15, and you get 54. We can add these 3 numbers together to get the total. 29 plus 19 plus 37 is 85. And in this box, we can take the total, 78, subtract 16, and then subtract 32, and we end up with 30. And now we get to total these columns together. 54 plus 37 plus 30 is 121. I'm going to add these up. 91 plus 85 plus 78 is 254. And then I'm going to go ahead and add 67, 66, and 121. I also get 254, so I'm confident I've got my correct totals. Let's go to question number 2. All right, looks like question number 2 is going to use the tables in question number 1. So from the tables in question 1, find the relative frequency, fractions, so we're just looking for the fractions, not the decimal or percent, and determine whether the answer is a joint relative frequency, marginal, or conditional. All right, let's take up the first one. A person lives in Ontario and uses Sprint. Well, I know that if I see the word and then around that word and is 2 categories, and those 2 categories are either from a column or a row. That means I've got I've got marginal frequency. Actually, that would be true, but actually in this case now I realize Ontario is a row and Sprint is a column. If I'm looking at a column and a row connected by the word and, that means it's got to be joint. That means it is joint relative frequency. And let's take a look. Ontario, here we go. And here's our Sprint. These people are Ontario and Sprint. That means my numerator is 94. And when you do joint relative frequency, you always use the grand total, 587. Almost got confused on that one. All right, next one. A student is in the 6th grade. Well, in this case, only one category is mentioned. I know this is going to be marginal. Let's take a look at here. I'm going to put some of my help here is there's a column mentioned and a row mentioned. That tips us off. That's joint. This one, only one category only. One category only tells me it's marginal. So let's take a look at our table. How many 6th graders do we have? Oh, we're not on the top one, we're in the bottom table. 6th graders, we got a total of 91. So that means my fraction, I'll write it right here, is going to be 91 in the numerator. And then my denominator is going to be my total number of students here, which is 254. All right, so far so good. Next one, given a person lives in Upland, they use AT&T. Well, this word given is the important word, and it tells us it's going to be a conditional probability. And the way this works, well, conditional relative frequency as well. Let's talk about relative frequency here because we're not really doing probability. All right, given a person lives in Upland, that means I'm only going to look at Upland, only Upland. And then in the Upland category, we're looking for AT&T. So let's go ahead and take a look. We're only going to look at Upland. That's a row. That means my numerator is going to be 208. Because I'm not looking at the grand total anymore. I'm only taking a subset of our survey, which is just the people who live in Upland. And then how many of those people use AT&T? Well, here's Upland. If we go across here, we've got 91 people in Upland use AT&T. So we got 91 divided by 208. Okay, next 3. Assuming a student prefers math, they're in the 8th grade. Well, there is our assuming word again. That means I know we're going to be dealing with conditional, and we're only going to look at math. So let's put on here only math, because we assume they prefer math. So only math. Let's take a look at our math row or column and see what we can get from it. So here's math. That means if I'm only looking at math, my denominator is going to be 66. Because I'm only concerned about the people who prefer math. And then in that row, or that column, we're going to look at how many are in the 8th grade. And that's 32. So in this case, conditional, you see it doesn't use the grand total. It uses whatever we're assuming that person or that item belongs to. Okay, next one, a person uses Verizon. Well, I got one category mentioned. That means it must be marginal. And marginal, I know, uses the grand total. So let's take a look at our cell phone survey. We got 587 people in that survey. And how many of them use Verizon? It's going to be the total of the column. 179 people use Verizon. So there is our fraction, 179 over 587. And the last question. A student likes science and is in the 7th grade. We got this connecting word and we've got the word science. Science is a column. So we've got a column, and let's take a look. 7th grade, if you look at that table, 7th grade is a row, a column and a row. That means we're dealing with joint. Frequent relative frequency. I know the total number of students in that survey is 254, because joint relative frequency always uses the grand total. And how many students like science and are in the 7th grade? Here's science. 29 of them are in the 7th grade. So we've got 29 out of 254. So there are questions 1 and 2 of the test review. We'll go ahead and start a new video for the next part.